Hey there, and welcome to this explainer. Selling a home, especially one you've loved and lived in for years, can totally feel like a massive undertaking. And it gets really real when you're suddenly staring down a mountain of legal paperwork. But don't worry, we're going to break down the essential real estate disclosures for Illinois homeowners over 50 together. Let's dive right into this. When you've been in a house for decades, whether you're up in Chicago or down in the south suburbs, the thought of selling brings up a very big, somewhat scary question. What are you actually signing? That massive stack of legal documents can feel completely unfamiliar. And honestly, it is so perfectly understandable that sellers get totally laser focused on the listing price and the moving timeline, and they just kind of skim the paperwork and sign on the dotted line. Well, we're going to change that today. We're going to break this down simply so you know exactly what you're agreeing to, and more importantly, how it protects you. So here is our roadmap for today. We'll be looking at Section 1, the listing agreement. Then Section 2, the property disclosure report. Next is Section 3, the lead paint disclosure. And finally, Section 4, moving forward with confidence. All right, let's kick things off with Section 1, the listing agreement, which is really all about your relationship with your agent. This is usually the very first legal document you're going to encounter in the whole selling process. Think of it as a binding contract between you and your real estate agent. As the National Association of Realtors explains, this agreement is what actually gives your agent the authority to go out there, market your property, and represent your best interests. It also officially locks in your agreed-upon sales price. But here's the thing. You don't just sign some generic one-size-fits-all form. You actually have three common options. The first is an exclusive right to sell agreement. This means you work with one agent and they earn a guaranteed commission no matter who ultimately finds the buyer. The second option is exclusive agency. Here, you still limit yourself to one agent, but you actually keep the option to sell the home yourself, commission-free if you happen to find the buyer on your own. And the third option is limited service. This is where the agent handles much narrower tasks, like getting your home posted on the MLS, but they offer less support through the actual nitty-gritty negotiations. Look, none of these is automatically the right choice. It depends entirely on how involved you want to be, how fast you need to sell, and how much handholding you want. A truly great agent will walk you through these options, not just shove a form across the desk. Now, here is a crucial point that gives you a ton of power. Commission terms are entirely negotiable. They're absolutely not set by some fixed industry standard. So many sellers mistakenly assume there's a governing body out there dictating a standard rate, but there just isn't. Agents set their own compensation, and this single detail dictates exactly how much of your sale proceeds you actually get to keep in your pocket. So ask your agent directly how the commission works in your specific agreement. Ask them, hey, what happens if I need to cancel early? Or is there a holdover period after the listing ends? Asking these questions takes, maybe 3 minutes, but it can literally save you thousands of dollars and prevent a massive headache down the road. Moving right along to Section 2, the property disclosure report, and fulfilling those state requirements. Okay, so once your listing agreement is officially signed and squared away, Illinois law steps in. They require a second crucial document before a buyer can sign a contract. The Illinois General Assembly's Residential Real Property Disclosure Act mandates that you fill out a report consisting of exactly 24 specific questions regarding the condition of your property. That's it, just 24 targeted questions. So what are those 24 questions actually looking for? They're hunting for one specific thing. Material defects. Now, I know that sounds like intimidating legal jargon, but it basically just means problems that meaningfully affect the home's value or the safety of the people living there. We're talking major things like the foundation, the roof, or big plumbing and electrical issues. Now, take a deep breath, because here's the most reassuring part of this whole process. You only need to disclose what you actually know. Nothing in the law says you have to hire a home inspector or go digging through your crawl space for hidden problems just for this form. You are simply stating the known facts of your home as it stands today. Honesty truly is key here. Just mentally walk through your property, room by room, and jot down anything you are genuinely aware of. But you might be wondering, what if I genuinely don't know about a defect and then a problem surfaces later? Let's say you randomly discover a leak before closing. Illinois law accounts for this beautifully with a really simple process. You just send an updated supplemental disclosure explaining the new finding. Leaving out a problem you know about or guessing at answers is infinitely more risky than just admitting you're unsure. A seller who discloses in good faith is always in a stronger position than one who tries to smooth over a known issue. Let's move on to Section 3, the lead paint disclosure, which deals with federal rules for older homes.
This brings us to a very specific Environmental Protection Agency requirement for older properties. If your house dates back to before 1978, it automatically triggers a federal rule. You are legally required to disclose any known lead-based paint or lead hazards before a buyer can sign a contract. This involves giving the buyer a federally approved pamphlet all about lead hazards and granting them a 10-day window to conduct their own paint inspection if they want to. Because this step involves a mandatory waiting period, you're absolutely going to want to ask your agent about this early on. Do it well before you get close to accepting an offer so it doesn't suddenly slow down your entire moving timeline.
You know, it is so incredibly easy to view all this paperwork as just a frustrating obstacle. But these legal documents actually exist to protect everyone involved. They protect the buyer from purchasing a property with hidden, serious problems, and they protect you from stressful post-closing disputes. When you treat these forms as a layer of mutual protection, it brings so much peace of mind. A completed, honest disclosure report is literally your absolute best defense if a disagreement ever pops up months after closing. Which brings us to our final stop today, Section 4, moving forward with confidence and your exact next steps. Now that we actually understand the why behind all this paperwork, let's talk about some actionable next steps. Before you sign anything at all, here's a highly practical checklist you can use. First, ask your agent to walk through each section out loud. Seriously, even if it feels a bit basic. Ask them exactly what type of agreement it is and why that specific structure is the best fit for your situation. Ask about the agreement's duration. Ask about your options if you need to make changes partway through. And, like we just talked about, raise that lead paint disclosure early to avoid any annoying delays. Taking the time to ask these questions freely isn't just acceptable, it is highly, highly encouraged. Never feel rushed just because a form is considered standard practice. Plus, selling a home later in life often comes with more moving pieces, not fewer. That's why working with a seniors real estate specialist or an SRES agent is incredibly valuable. An SRES agent deeply understands this specific life stage. They basically act as a village of support, helping to time a sale around family circumstances and coordinating seamlessly with other professionals. For example, Illinois Realtors notes that the rules around who actually qualifies as a seller have shifted a bit in recent years. So if you're selling a property you inherited or maybe a property held in a trust, that update could affect your obligations. An SRES team makes sure you navigate those kinds of specialized legal updates flawlessly. Ultimately, the homeowners who feel the most confident throughout their entire sale are almost always the ones who understood what they signed and exactly why from the very first page. When you take the time to really understand these documents, you completely transform an intimidating legal process into an incredibly empowering one. You are firmly in the driver's seat. Which brings us to our final thought and a question for you. Are you ready to approach your sale with complete confidence? None of this paperwork should feel like a mystery anymore. If you want to dive even deeper, I highly invite you to utilize the free resource library mentioned in our source material. It's packed with great guides on downsizing, aging in place, and what to expect when you meet with a financial advisor. Step into your home sale feeling completely informed, empowered, and supported. Because when you know exactly what is in your paperwork and how it's there to protect you, the question isn't whether you can handle the sale. It's what else you're fully capable of conquering in your next big life chapter. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and happy selling.